Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon and early good morning. I am Jordie James, a psychic medium, coming from you live from Wallan, Victoria, Australia. How are you all this afternoon, evening, and early morning, actually? Welcome and thank you so much for joining me today for this beautiful half hour. I've got you in my hot little hands. What I was going to talk about, I sort of have a bit of a blank on what I was going to talk about today, but it's interesting because the first things were actually coming up to me is the fact that I get questioned a lot about, especially with beautiful new clients and people who come to see me, what the difference is between psychic and mediumship. And if there is a difference, and how do we distinguish it? So, being a mentor that I am slash teacher, I sort of give a rough guide of how I work that way, and also give my students that way as well. I'm sorry, I love how spirit work with me because I feel like they're changing my energy, and I'm sort of having a few issues at the moment, so I do apologize. So, as I explain, that psychic is direction, which is past, present, and future, what's going on around you. And that could be a number of things. It could be anywhere from relationships, work, sort of relationships with self, money, finance, health, a lot of things like that. Whereas mediumship is connecting with loved ones. So people who have passed, our loved ones, our family. Now, that's not to say we actually have a limit on who comes through, because technically I've had great grandparents and great grandparents come through that people are aware of, but they don't know anything about them. So I just trust myself with what I receive, because I've been doing this long enough. I sort of go, yep. And the biggest thing is trust with all of us. Even when you do have the gifts or you have got intuition, it's just the human realization that we can trust with what we receive. So I just give validations on what comes through. Now, if that doesn't actually make resonant, or you don't resonate with it at that time, I always go, look, you can, I'll give that to you and you can just look into it if you like. It's totally up to you. But I just trust with what I receive. But that's mediumship. We as mediums and psychics, we have no control on where we who comes through, how it works. You can specifically ask for a person. That's all well and good, depending on how the medium or psychic works. I normally do that at the end of the reading or the last 5 to 10 minutes, only to give a justification on if you are really wanting to connect with someone and they haven't actually come through at the start of the reading, then I can always connect with them later if they're around. So I have no control. So yeah, so I thought I'll give you a little bit of that. Also, questions that I do get as well as for a medium like myself is how long does it sort of happen before you can connect with your loved one? Pretty much there is no time limit. I have had clients who have come and sat with me, and I've had no idea, and I've just connected with someone and they've been gone 2 weeks. They've been gone 3 weeks. They've been gone a week. They've been gone a day. They've been gone 20 years. There is no time limit on when spirit will come through to say, hi, I'm okay. The other thing is as well is that probably in the last 12 months, I've actually been connecting with people's loved ones who are they're in either a transition phase, or they're in a phase of a coma, or in a sleep sort of. So if we're in Australia, then I know some people over in America might be asleep. Their spirit may come through. So we have no control over who does come through, but yeah, spirit definitely know how to come through. So with that, in saying that, you just have to make sure when you go and see a medium or go and see a psychic that you have an open mind and an open heart, and that's the biggest thing. We go through as much as we can go through with the time frame that we allow ourselves with spirit. but it just depends on who wants to come through and how long they want to talk and what's going on around you. But yeah, there is no restrictions. Spirit, the soul being has no restrictions whatsoever. So they could be a bit of Alzheimer's and they may be having a bit of a snooze, and they will come through, because I might be describing someone and you go, oh, but they're still here. Yes, but are they? So we don't have excuses for it. We just go, oh, so they're in that state where as we're asleep, we can astral travel. And so that's where the spirit can actually go, look, I'm okay. Things are going to be okay. So I did a reading at the start of the year with this lady, beautiful niece. Her auntie was not well, and her auntie was actually in the last stages of the transition before she passed over, but she came through and it was the most gorgeous thing I'd seen. And it was really heartfelt to know that she was going to be okay, and she was full of life and ready for that next journey. So it's always a pleasure, and to know that spirit are always around us. So yeah, even in our toughest times. So that's my little tidbit for this week. So thank you so much for listening. And I have Heather on the line from, Heather, hi, how are you from North Carolina? How are you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was going to pronounce your suburb, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So I do apologize. Is it Pollocksville? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, would you like to go? I am a psychic medium, Heather. Would you like to go psychic or mediumship, or a bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay, perfect. Now, as I am sort of connected, oh, hello. Okay, I want to say I've got a gentleman that I feel is on Dad's side of the family who's coming in. He's got this gorgeous cheeky smile, and he's got these really sort of apple cheeks, and he's just, I want to squeeze his cheeks. He's just absolutely a gorgeous man. I don't know if this is your grandfather or your great-grandfather, but I do want to say, it's like I want to say he's on grandfather's level though. So, and he's on Dad's side of the family. Now there's a James or a J name I want to bring through on Dad's side as well. So has your grandfather on your dad's side passed?
No.
Okay. So would there be a gentleman on grandfather's level that has passed, though, that would be either your grandfather's brother, or there's a reference to being on that level for you? Would that make sense?
None, not on the grandfather, or all my grandparents are still alive, and my dad.
Okay. So your dad's still here as well, yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so with this, I just want to say, if it might be your great-grandfather, but I do want to say I feel that he would be in his sort of, there's 65 to 68, or there's a reference around that age for him. Do you know much about your great-grandfather on your dad's side? And this would be your grandfather's dad.
Okay.
So do you know much about him?
No.
Okay. So let me just keep going with him for a second, because I know I want to be very much drawn to. Is Dad one of 4 children or one of 4 boys?
He's one of, and he's neither. He's one of 2 boys.
Okay. So would grandfather be then one of 4?
Ooh.
Can I just leave that with you?
Right.
Yeah, I just want to leave that with you, because I just feel like he's coming through quite dominantly, and he just wants to say, but there's a James or a J name that I do want to bring through on Dad's side of the family. But yeah, okay. I just feel like he needs to come through. Now, I know that your grandfather, would I make reference with your grandfather that I know is still here, having issues with the lower half of his right leg? Would that make sense to you?
Maybe.
Okay. That's all right. I just want to sort of bring some validations to make sure that I am like, that he is for you, if that makes sense. Because I don't want to sort of make things up and you go, oh, I don't get it at all. But yeah, Heather, I just want to say, I feel like this gentleman's coming through just to acknowledge the fact that things have been happening in the last 2 to 3 months around family, that he wants to just acknowledge, especially Dad's side of the family. So I don't know if someone is not very well, or there's rallying around someone on dad's side of the family is really important at the moment. And he's just saying that they're all there being very supportive on the other side. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I just want to make reference to the fact that he wants to draw attention to dad's side of the family.
Okay.
Okay. Now, also, he wants to give you the biggest smile and he wants to squeeze your cheeks. Now, I know you may not have met this gentleman, but I do want to say, did you used to wear ribbons in your hair when you were younger?
Yes.
Like red ribbons or red ponytails or something? I just want to make reference to the red ribbons in your hair. And he's just acknowledging this so you're sort of aware that he's actually connected to you. But I just, because I'm asking him to bring through things around you, take this with you that everything's going to be okay and you're very supported from the spirit realm around your dad's side of the family. So I'll just leave that with you. Okay. Sorry about that, Heather. I don't know what happened there. So just waiting for our next caller to pop in. Is there anything else? Okay, and yeah, no, that's fine. Thanks, Dave. Okay, is there anything else you want to give me? Oh, and there's something about the men in your side of the family, Heather. I know you'll probably watch this later. Hopefully you do. But I just want to say there's something about wearing hats. So I'll leave that with you, Heather. Just waiting for Dave to bring another beautiful lady through. Josephine from Grand Prairie, Alberta. Hi, Josephine. How are you going? Hi, Josephine.
Hello.
Hi, Josephine. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Oh, just awesome. Spirit's having an absolute ball with me at the moment. So it's like things are just going. I just, it's like I want to say, as much as we like to be in control when we're out of control, I just take my hands back and just go, yep, okay, let's just go with it. Let's just go with the flow. So thank you so much for calling in. Now, would you like to go psychic or mediumship or a bit of both?
Whatever you're called to.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, okay, interesting enough, Josephine, I want to say I've got two sort of questions around you at the moment. And it's like I want to say you are starting to really step into your own. I want to make reference to stepping into your own energy. You're really, really, okay, thank you. There's something about the last couple of years that I feel that you lost a little bit of yourself or a little bit of self-control, but there's a reference to you now stepping up and being in control of what you want to do now. I feel like the path has become really more a little bit more focused. That like you actually have found the path that you want to go with your career, your life, and things are just starting to flow with you. Would that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Also, I want to say, can you please start doing healing? Are you a healer?
Yes.
Thank you. Because I just want to say, I want to. You need to do more work with energy and healing, and it's like I want to say, the spirit are going. Ah, it's like I want to say, things have just started to fall into place for you that really make you want to move forward and open or rediscover your old world knowledge. Would that make sense to you, Josephine?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Also, trusting your and have you been doing this for a little while? Is this only just really started to come more focused in the last 2 to 3 years for you, Josephine?
Actually, it's been quite a long time. But
Okay.
with the new thing is like I just started subletting with a massage therapist. So I actually use her massage room to do the healing work and the office to do psychic readings.
Okay, perfect. Because I want to say in the last 2 to 3 years, I feel like it's been amped up, or there's a reference to amping up what your path
Yes.
is truly about. And I do want to say we go through the teething process in this industry and the way that we work as beautiful spiritual mediums, healers, that we sort of try and figure out where we sit within the realm of things or the scheme of things with this beautiful industry, but we sort of don't really find, and once we find it, then our path just opens up a lot more. And I do feel like in the last 2 to 3 years, I know that you've really been focused. It's like you've just got that whole, let's just do this, I've got it, let's just go with it. And no more fighting, you're really trusting your instincts. And I do want to say, moving forward, I do feel like I've got a grandmother or a lady that is an older generation on mum's side of the family who is sort of claiming that the intuition and the psychic knowledge or the old world knowledge that is coming to you is that side of the family. So is it mum's side of the family that this comes from?
Yeah, that would be my grandmother Annie.
Yeah, okay, thank you. She was a little bit of a cheeky lady. Would that make sense to you? She's quite mischievous. Like, I want to say things would move or things would change, and if she doesn't like it, okay, she's a very forceful lady in a sense of her energy is quite sort of, if I don't like the chair there, I'm moving it. And I do feel, I don't know if furniture, I don't think furniture would move, but I know things in your house at one point or mum's house at one point moved because Nan didn't like it where it was. But I do want to say there's a reference to her having a really, really strong energy, and it's making me aware that she's coming from a very long line of spiritualists or people who had this faith that just knew there was something just outside the box. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay.
My
Now,
mom actually is the same way as my grandmother. Me and my sister one time we changed everything in the kitchen, and my mom made us change it back.
So I do want to say that your grandmother's just laughing because I feel like even though she's passed, I feel like she still does this on the spirit
she wakes me up to do my dishes before traveling.
I love it. So
No
I do want to. She's just absolutely adorable, and I do want to say I don't feel like she was more than 5'3". I know she was a little bit stocky. I don't feel like she was really tall, and she's stocky, and she's got this beautiful sort of figure around. I want to sort of, I'm going to my chest, and I'm sort of doing that hourglass figure. She was absolutely gorgeous. I know she was a little bit chubbier as she got older, but there's a reference to a gorgeous figure, because I feel like she's got that back.
Yeah.
There's also something about beautiful shoes. Now, I don't feel like they're stilettos as such, but I know there's something about shoes. If she wasn't the shoe person, I know there's a shoe lady in the family that loves shoes, but she's showing these beautiful shoes as well. Also, I want to say, do you guys have any connection, or what's the Wizard of Oz? Because I'm seeing the ruby red slippers.
Well, when I explain to people about putting up protective bubbles, I tell them to imagine the Good Witch in the Wizard of Oz and to put themselves in this whatever color for themselves.
Oh my God.
So that was my reference to the Wizard of Oz.
Because I was like, I'm seeing, like, when we went to shoes, and then I saw the ruby red slippers, and I was like, then all of a sudden I saw Judy Garland, and then I went, oh, are you connected to the Garlands in some way, or is it the Wizard of Oz? So it's like, I want to say,
yeah, it's the
God, I
big
love
bubble.
how spirit.
So, like,
Yeah, I love how spirit work. I really do. I absolutely love it. So she's just wanting to remind you that she's around you very muchly. And also I want to say that, and I know that your family is very spiritual and very faith, and she's really happy that you guys don't think about, and she doesn't really want to touch on it much, but with her passing, she's making me aware that the last 2 to 3 weeks before she passed, she was not well. She was not herself, and I feel like she was a little bit abrupt, or there was frustration there, and I feel like she got a little bit angry. Would that make sense to you?
yeah.
Okay, because she doesn't want to hold on to that. Does that make sense? She just wants to acknowledge the fact that she's loving the fact now that people are totally letting that go, and knowing that she's fine, and she's cheeky, and she's funny, she's back to normal. And honestly, I feel like
whenever she came to me, that's the way she came, is happy and cheeky and, well, like I said, getting me up in the middle of the night to do my dishes.
Yeah, and I also want to say with her as well that she was a little bit like, you know how men can be stubborn with their health? I just want to say she's very much the same. She would not let people
Yes.
know that she was not well. And she was saying that I wish I sort of gave you guys a little bit more of a grieving process because the grief took a little longer than what it should have, is what she's telling me. Because if she told you guys what was actually wrong at the beginning, I feel like there would have been an easement of her passing rather than a sudden shock or a sudden sort of loss. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's just making me aware. I'm really happy that the family is very much over this now, and she does apologize. But I also feel like that was a lesson in the family too, to make sure that if anyone is not well, to make sure the whole family is aware so everyone can go through it and everyone's got their own support system, if that makes sense, Josephine. Because I just want to say
Yes.
that is a really
My,
important lesson.
my mom is just like my grandmother. Like, she was in the hospital, and like I'd actually picked up energy wise that something wasn't or like something was not right. So I
Yep.
sent my sister over there, but she couldn't go. So my brother went, and he took her straight up to the hospital, and she was not doing so well.
Yeah. And this is your grandmother or your mum? Sorry.
My mom. Yeah,
Okay.
like, and I live like 7 hours away from her, and I just
Yeah.
like I had a feeling.
And is mum still here? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can you pull her
Yeah.
ears for your grandmother, please, because she's not listening? Like, I want to pull her
Okay.
ears because your mum's not listening. She's not, she's not listening. She's yeah, as you said, she's as stubborn as her mum. But I do want to say that your
Yeah.
grandmother is so much full of life now, and I feel like that was only one of the I don't feel like it, I don't want to say, because spirit don't, they do have regrets to a point, but there's a reference to needing to learn the lessons to open up. And I know that is going to be like, you're an advocate for this, and I feel like the whole family is. Now she's making me aware of four. Oh, hang on. I just went four and I pulled up three fingers. So is there three children or four children? Because hang on, bear with me. Let me just, that's just really confusing. So she's making me aware, are you one of three?
I'm three
Or is there three
sisters.
girls? Thank you, three girls. And then there's
Yeah,
four.
three
She's
sisters
making me,
and one adopted, so that makes four. And I
okay,
have
thank you.
four children.
Okay, thank you. Because she's just making me aware it's around yourself, not around your mum. But there was three, and then I went to go four, but I put three first, but I went to say four. So there's just a reference there. Okay, perfect. Now, oh, okay, thank you. You need to trust. Okay, so I know that you're a healer and you said you do psychic, but there's some sort of reference to you doing mediumship as well, but not trusting what you get. Would that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, I feel like spirit's going to start really coming through for you. And it's interesting because I was actually bringing it up at the start, but the only thing as I didn't say is there's two different ways when we do psychic and when we do mediumship. It just depends on which way we receive or connect the energy to. So I just want to make reference to the fact that when you receive energy from your side, that would be spirit, if that makes sense. So that would be your
Yeah.
mediumship side, because you are a natural medium. But it's like, I want to say, you put a cover over it so you don't put pressure on yourself to connect with loved ones. Would that make sense to you? Oh, you're a little cheeky. You're
Yes, because it makes
cheeky.
me cry. It's like a happy
Yeah,
cry, but it's still a cry, and it's like, ah!
yeah. Josephine, I need to make
Because
you
I can
aware
feel
that
the
when you
love.
exactly, and that's the key. That's what I was going to say, is the fact that it's not your emotion. You're actually bringing in spirit's emotion to your lovely clients that you actually are reading for. So it's like, I want to say, when we do get tears, and I know this, I get tears and I'm like, I know these aren't mine. So it's working out and starting to hone in, because I feel like you've been doing it for such a long time. I do want to say, trusting your gut instincts and honing in a few more other little things, like changing it up a little bit, you know that mediumship is really, really strong for you. So, and your grandmother is just going, yep. Get some Dutch
my
courage.
grandmother have any insights as to if I'm going to have another child?
She's giving me 6 months around that. Something about 6 months. Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know if it's going to come up in 6 months or you'll be pregnant within the next 6 months, but she's giving me in the next 6 months for you. So Josephine, can I leave that with you? But also stop putting so much pressure on yourself. That's the biggest thing. You're putting too much pressure on yourself, but not just to have a baby, but around family, around your work. You just need to go and have a big sort of, better known as what we call a bit of a brain epiphany. Like you just need to blow your brain out and just have a bit of a, like I call them brain farts, but just excuse my expression. But you just need to have a bit of a with your brain and just allow yourself to have that sense of calmness around you. And I feel like the beach is really important for you. So I don't know if the sea or water is really important. The beach.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like you need to go there and just sit. Yeah. Sorry, I've only got about 30 seconds, Josephine. So can I leave that with you? Thank you so much. And if you can, love and light to you, and connect with me and Jordie Jane's Psychic Medium. I'd love to chat with you more because you're absolutely gorgeous. And also, Heather, if you're watching this, please contact with me, Jordie Jane's, because I know our phone sort of dropped out. But thank you so much, everyone, and I'll talk to you all next week. Bye.